Finally, the NBA draft is this week. What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Hope you're having a great weekend. Came across this article from Spurs Talk this morning. I was like, man, I got to jump into this because this is the final draft board. Whole lot of stuff from sources, this, that, and the other. I was like, I want to share it with you guys because Spurs Talk is one of my favorite content creators. Not sponsored in any way, just letting you know. Also, Pounding the Rock, and more importantly, you guys. Love your feedback on these videos. Let's get into the article. The 2024 draft takes place on Wednesday. And figuring out who the San Antonio Spurs are targeting is more unclear than ever. Yeah. The Spurs held a workout with Stephon Castle and Devin Carter. Sources who witnessed the workout say Carter was highly impressive and that his athleticism was off the charts. However, the same sources refused to comment on how Castle performed during the workout. And I gotta say, Carter is definitely a guy that's moved up my draft board. We did a video on him on the channel. I didn't know a lot about him a few weeks ago. I know about him now. Dude, he's athletic as all can be. Outside of Carter, the other player Spurs sources are raving about is Jacoby Walter. Time out. Okay, so I'm not overly familiar with Jacoby Walter either, so I did look him up. He'll be 21 when the season starts. He's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. Projects to be a 3-and-D shooting guard. The last I checked, Vassell's our starter. Branham's a backup. If they were to draft Jacoby Walter, is it bye-bye Malachi? I'm not ready to give up on Branham yet. He's only going into year 3, still very young, but that would certainly raise an eyebrow if they drafted him. He is projected to be a late lottery pick, so I don't see them drafting him. And interesting that he's brought up in this article. Multiple sources say the Baylor product shot extremely well in his Spurs workout. We've also heard positive words about the workouts of Cody Williams and Rob Dillingham. The Spurs held the workout with Reed Sheppard, but I found it impossible to get a source to comment on how it went. Spurs sources are also mum about everything involving Zachary Rissache and interesting Dalton Connect. Okay, Tijon Saloon had a workout with the Spurs, and then all of his future workouts where other teams were canceled. His representative says Saloon suffered an ankle injury during his workout with the Spurs. That's probably the truth, but you never know during smokescreen season. Yes, we have been dealing with a lot of smokescreens the last few weeks. This is why I've labeled this as kind of a final review. I don't plan on doing any more videos about the draft the next couple of days unless something huge happens. But I hope to not just do any more preliminary coverage anymore because we've gone over this indefinitely, and I wanted this to be like just kind of in-depth and want this to be a final wrap-up, if you will. One highly connected Spurs source raved about Dominic Leon, calling him an elite prospect who the team would feel comfortable drafting even without working him out. Smokescreen? I don't know, but let's get into the final draft board from Spurs Talk, and I will, of course, tell you where I agree, disagree, blah, blah, blah. Zachary Rissache. I still think Rissache is the top player on the Spurs big board. His athletic combine testing was shockingly poor, but he will probably be a good three-point shooter and a 6'10" shoes defender who can thrive on the perimeter. Yes, I agree he's probably going to be the guy the Spurs target at number 4 if available. Alex Sarr. Sarr dropping to 4 is extremely unlikely. I agree. But if it happens, he thinks the Spurs pick him over any player but Rissache. And I'm going to go timeout on this one. I would take Sarr over Rissache. Here's why. Well, first of all, you can see the jersey behind me. I'm a huge... David Robinson, my favorite player, my favorite athlete of all time. And some of you might not realize the Twin Towers only lasted 6 years. That's it. David and Timmy only played together for 6 years, and one of those seasons was a strike sorting season, so we can maybe say 5.5 years. Anyway, Robinson was good to great those first 4 years, but the last 2 years he was clearly past his prime. We never, as Spurs fans, got to see a prime, let's say 25-year-old David Robinson, and a prime 24-year-old Tim Duncan. Can you imagine the havoc they would have wreaked on the NBA offensively and defensively? And the chance to see a prime Sarr and a prime Wemby together as the Eiffel Towers, maybe it's the wrong move, but sign me up. I want to see it. And I know some of you say, hey, TSR, two bigs don't work in today's NBA. Let's not forget, Wemby is unlike anything we've ever seen before in today's NBA. So Sarr would be my guy at 4 if he's available. Number 3 here on the board, Stefan Castle. He'd be a great fit defensively, and he also brings passing, driving strength, and basketball IQ, something we could use, to the table. If Castle can learn to shoot, he's going to be a really valuable player, and that's the player a lot of you think that we may draft at 4. Sarr probably, I can imagine Sarr's going to be off the board. Versace maybe off the board. Is this the guy we take with the number 4 pick? Let's move down the board. Reed Shepherd. His shooting potential puts him in a class of his own. His passing and playmaking history suggests that he could eventually become a point guard. Defensively, his rates of steals and blocks paint Shepherd as a player who won't be a pushover on that end. It's a player of you some really don't want. Some of you do. We'll see what happens. Cody Williams, he's the type of high character with like an upside player the Spurs have historically targeted in drafts. Okay? Talked about Saloon a little earlier. The most notable combine measurement of them all this year was Saloon's enormous 9'2" standing reach. My man has to jump like a foot and he's dunking. Dang, that's ridiculous. And in his rate of improvement, his three-point shooting, and his effort level, and the scouts believe that Saloon's floor isn't as low as others perceive. Or at least scout. Let's also not the French connection with him and Wemby. Could we see a draft with Castle taken at 4 and Saloon drafted at 8? Totally could see that. We'd be totally okay with it. Matisse Buzelis. I'm struggling to find evidence that the Spurs are even looking at Buzelis. Okay. We mentioned him a little earlier, Devin Carter. Carter is a monster defender, a talented rebounder, and rapidly improving three-point shooter who would be ready to come in and play an NBA game tomorrow. So this would be the other side of the draft I'd be happy with if we are able to get Versace at 4 if he's available, or somehow Sarr, and Castle's probably, I can't see Castle being there at 8. Carter's won me over. Everything I'm reading says, I know he's only like, 6'2", 6'3", but he also has a giant wingspan of like 6'8" or 6'9", so he has the length to defend. Yeah, sign me up for Carter at 8. Totally cool with that. Dalton Connect, another win-now prospect who should be able to put points on the board at a high level. Haven't really read anything connecting the Spurs to him, so probably not. Look who slid. Oh my gosh. Robert Dillingham. They now have him 10th on the Spurs draft board. I think when LJ first did this draft board, he was in the top 3. Now he's down a bit. Dillingham's slide continues. After watching the Boston Celtics hunt down and punish bad defenders on their way to a championship, it'd be difficult to justify taking Dilly in the top 10. He's not only undersized, his fundamentals are lacking. That said, his offensive ceiling is so high that the Spurs could pick him simply due to how well he'd fit next to Wemby. And I'd be fine with Dilly at 8. If we get Versace at 4 and Dilly's picked at 8, okay. I'm not going to sit there and, I'm not going to be upset about it. Be like, okay, I'm going to trust the Spurs know what they're doing. And this is the guy they felt was right at number 8 to unlock maximum Wemby, whatever that may be. It's scary on the court. Klingon's at 11. Drafting Klingon to back up Wemby doesn't sound like the best use of a lottery pick. No. I just don't see Klingon and Wemby working on the court together. I could be wrong. Ron Holland, finding a scout who believes he'll be picked in the top 10 is becoming more and more difficult. Talking about players that have slid down the board, by the way. Nikola Topic, down to 13. The Spurs picking Topic at 8 is still within the realm of possibility. Yes, it is. Now, I don't know how I'd feel about a player sitting, he's probably going to miss next season. So if we're drafting the point guard of the future and he doesn't play, I have concerns with the injury, but then I look at something like Chet Holmgren, missed a year, and obviously running fine, cooking in that Thunder offense now. If they pick Topic at 8 above, let's say, Carter or Dilly, I think it's a player I think I'd be mixed. I'd be torn just like his ACL. Ooh, too soon. Sorry, man, it popped in my head. Sometimes bad humor. Jacoby Walter, talked about earlier, he could actually enter discussion at number 8. That'd be a tough sell. Then again, Joshua Primo. Oh, back-to-back kicks in the jubblies. My apologies, Topic. In all seriousness, hope he gets better. I wish him the best of luck, and if he comes to us, I hope he has an incredible all-star career. I don't see us taking Walter. And then we start getting to some names that I'm not overly familiar with or have never heard at all. I think I've seen Furphy somewhere just because it's a great name. I'm going down this board for a reason. Look who has dropped down here. Collier has tumbled out of the lottery. Remember when he was at once considered the or one of the top point guard prospects in this draft? I forgot about him. I don't think he is a lottery pick anymore, is he? I think there's one more player I want to talk about on here. all the way down here, boop, because some of you have talked about the Spurs drafting him, Zach Edey. Edey was the best player in college basketball, but the fit was he the best player? He was. But would he fit with us? No. LJ says it'd be really clunky, and I think it probably would too. A couple 7'5" players on the court at the same time wouldn't really work. The memes would be fun, though. I would not want the Spurs to take Edey at 4 or at 8. If he's somehow available, in the second round, and we pick him at 35 as a backup center over Zach Collins, sorry, Zach, but I think the general consensus on this channel is we're most of us are ready to move on from Zach Collins, definitely as a starter and as a backup. If we get Edey as a backup, sure. No way I see him being there at the 35th pick, but I can dream, can I? Right? Perfect draft for the Spurs. Pick number 4, Alexander Sarr. Pick number 8, Stephon Castle. And then in the second round, pick 35, we get Zach Edey. It could happen, right? No, probably not. So that's all I got, Spurs fans. I just want to kind of do this video because I also thought this was interesting. This draft board has changed exponentially since his first one. I thought it's very interesting to see which players have moved up, kind of stayed in the same spot, and who have just plummeted all the way down the boards. The draft is Wednesday night. We'll be live. Myself, Miss TSR Sports, making her channel debut on camera. Earphone users beware. I've adjusted the sound. I've lowered the gain on the computer, so the volume might be a little lower, but I'm hoping there's less clipping, static, whatever issues we were having before. I have tested it. We can scream without totally blowing out the mic, and if Castle or any UConn guy gets drafted by the Spurs, I know she's going to go nuts. That being said, she might also drop a swear in there, so just be ready for that if one of her guys goes to a franchise that's been bad the last decade, let's say like the Hornets or the Pistons. So that's all I got. Actually, I do want to give you guys an update. I've been talking about the end of videos, so those of you that are, like, okay, he's not talking about the Spurs anymore or anything with the channel, I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to get a second opinion on my injury. I've been talking to you guys about thinking it's a torn rotator cuff or maybe a torn labrum. That's what the doctor told me, but this is a doctor in an urgent care, and no disrespect to the doctors at urgent cares, I don't think her diagnosis is right. You might not be able to see it on the camera. My arm is black and blue right here. When I had the injury, I felt the injury right here, and when I make a muscle, there's not much there on the bottom half. I think I tore my tricep or partially tore my tricep. I'm going to get a second opinion. I'll keep you guys posted at the end of these videos, so that way, the people that just want the basketball content first can check out when I go into this content or updates or whatever. But that's where I'm at. But I those of you still watching, first of all, thank you. But those of you that have been saying get well, TSR, best wishes, speed recover, or shared your own experiences. A lot of you talked about, not being able to swing from bars anymore, which is when I hurt myself because of previous issues. I'm reading all your comments, and I just thank you for the get wells. It means a lot to me, and I'm so excited, so excited Wednesday night to not only share the NBA draft with you, but also the person I might spend the rest of my life with will make her debut on the channel, and that just means so much to me that I can't, that we're going to have that night together. So that's all I got. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thank you. And as always, for watching. Go Spurs, go. Ready,